Diablo Immortal is a phone game, one that most people don't like because it's a phone game, and honestly, it's really bad. Quite possibly the worst ARPG ever made, so thanks for watching, take my word for it, not worth talking about it very much, and see you later. Fuck, you came back. Yeah, Diablo Immortal, topical game. Everyone can't stop mentioning it. It's completely memorable, iconic, defined a generation of shitty-ass phone slop shit. So you and I both question, why would I make a video covering a game that represents perfectly the complete ass-fucking of the video game industry? Besides the fact that I am obligated to play every single ARPG ever made, I also like money. I don't know what you want, something to watch while you eat that sub sandwich you've got there. So yeah, whatever, got nothing else to do, might as well cover the hit game Diablo Immortal. Really, anything other than playing this would be nice. Yeah, so normally I am a friendly, adjacent, moderately okay person who tolerates some things, but today I have very little patience. I genuinely feel that this is potentially the worst ARPG I have played. Not because it's the least fun necessarily, but in the areas of charm, soul, and substance, it gets absolutely 0 points. Let's be honest, just for a second, no joking, no editorializing, no generalizing, no aggrandizing, just pure and unfiltered rationalizing, but Diablo Immortal was made for money and nothing else, and no one gave a single care about reputation, legacy, or intrinsic enjoyment. You are the rat, this is our Skinner box, and this is the large dick in all our asses as Blizzard defecated out this buggy product with no quality assurance, no interest in trying to make something iconic and memorable with any audience ever, and really taking what made the industry as a whole, this whole genre as a whole, and turning it into an engine to sucker thoughtless consumers and paying for the illusion of a game. Fuck this shitty game in its large posterior and put it in the bin and light the bin on fire and piss in the bin after the fire burns out. Yup. The first step in the grand Bobby Kotick plan was to make the game refer to Diablo 2 as much as possible. That's good. Take that angle. Get out all the nostalgia juice. And believe me, the game couldn't try to tug on those strings any more than it did without the barbarian leap sound replacing every single sound effect in the game. And if they did, it would instantly be 50% better. Second plan is to make the game arcadey with a bunch of easy to remember rotations that are impossible to miss and make the game as easy as tapping buttons like a trained chimp while having you pick or allocate absolutely nothing. Finally, get the UI to piss shit out at you the entire time you're playing that suggests how good the battle pass is, how good of a value the starter bundle is, how much stronger you would be for just a nominal amount of money, and then I guess this as hidden step 4 of letting the game suck major fucking ass cheek. Honestly, it feels like the game is literally being held together with willpower. If Bob Blizzard stopped focusing on the game for 1 second, the entire thing would crash and burn because the game lags like ass, the UI elements bug, things spawn and despawn, interactable items don't interactable, pop-ups, basic Arial font on the load screen populating incredibly slowly, on it goes. And don't forget, something that was worth programming was no Blizzard in the character names. Can't have that. Activision is out too, so you know what? I used my cunning brain and produced an idea, one that programmers apparently didn't have any interest in correcting. There you go, bitches, get around that. So anyway, game time, review time, whatever time, let's see if through its horrible, trashy shittiness, if Diablo Immortal is the best ARPG ever made. By the way, I detest customizable characters in ARPGs, since you're looking downwards at a bald head the entire game, so I tried to make this guy look the worst I possibly could. Next time, just make some real designs, thank you very much. Back when the game came out, I navigated the early parts just to pump out a first impressions as fast as I could, and had it been a really fun time, I probably would have played the game much more. It weren't, and it ain't now, but the difference is I will go through all that I'm allowed to go through as long as I never have to pay a single dollar to Blizzard. And it's not very long before it just suggests that $2 would be a very wise investment, so you know, that's nice. My personal suggestion for a wise long-term investment is to turn the game off, but anyway, things handhold you for a whole 15 minutes and then you're tossed into an indecipherable clog of menus and tips, all of which I can't make sense of at this time. Sigils, crests, purchasable crystals, free 2-star items, daily login bonuses. Like, I have played and enjoyed some of these fucking phone games in the past, but they're always usually pretty clear-cut auto battlers or puzzle games or just shit you don't have to interact with very much. But here you are playing an ARPG. It's got human input, so it's the dynamic to succeed that you have to be skilled or smart enough, or do you have to be rich enough?
Definitely don't have to be smart enough if you're playing this tribe.
All these fucking toilet gamers ruining the potential for non-toilet games. There's a sizable amount of scumminess to this product that half the time you're playing there's just advertisements for illegal currency selling, so that's the hallmark of a beautiful and enjoyable game filled with memories that last a weekend. I'll talk about everything there is to talk about, and by the end I think you'll realize I just described a worse Diablo 3, so if that's something that excites you, oh boy, here it is. In terms of With combat, you are locked to having 4 skills at a given time with an auto attack filler. There is no resource in Diablo Immortal, having only cooldowns restrict you from doing the fun actions. Games that do this suck dick imo because it limits what you can even imagine being possible. There's just hard-ass coded cooldowns that make things unfun, and I'm not sure there's some $400 super unique that removes these shackles, but it's not like I want to dedicate a million hours of routine swing, 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 good buttons, swing, 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 repetitive-ass gameplay before getting access to something enjoyable. Diablo 2, the game this one tries to reminisce about constantly, had this cool system where the awesome attacks cost tons of mana, but there's a lot of ways to mitigate the costs, and if you didn't take an approach to care about it, then you aren't going to be able to spam Blizzard or Teleport or Whirlwind, etc., so the player naturally considered the ways to get more mana, or to generate it, or use less overall. Here, the consideration is, should I hit the button now or wait, and it just gives this gross feeling of uncertainty. You really don't want to waste the cooldown, but it's the way in which you actually accomplish anything. I suppose the rhythm is that you have 4 buttons so you can cycle, but it's still bland. And the fact that every class has no resource to worry about means that discussing build variety in this game is almost completely impossible. There are abilities that complement each other, and there are others that are the signature ability, so it's obvious what you should take. Basically, the damage you deal is completely unrelated to what skills you're picking, and way more to deal with gear, which is the main mechanic that A, you think about, and B, is designed to be bought with money. It is their deceptive, dick-headed way of making you think this is a good ARPG, when in reality I felt constantly crappy and underpowered and would probably have been buffed to the high heavens if I just paid a few bucks. Ain't getting my wallet, it's stuck in my asshole, no siree, not getting my asshole, it's stuck in my wallet, no siree, not getting my wallet, it's stuck. At level 60, you gain access to Paragon levels, and with these points you can finally allocate skills in one of 6 trees, and that's good, something to use my brain for, besides finding the best ARPG ever made, and that doesn't take up much processing power, to be honest. And neither does the Paragon system, surprisingly. It looks heinously complicated, but really it's just modifications for what you want to achieve. If you're looking to be powerful, there's a few options for that. If you're looking for magic find, there's an option for that. PvP exclusive, there's an option for that. And a good game and fun systems and make you feel rewarded, there's no option for that. Still, the way this is set up is appreciated, even if I don't really care about the selections all that much, since they're all kind of bland. Percent increase damage up if using this kind of attack, little benefits all around. Plus, I think arbitrarily and annoyingly, you gain a single Paragon point for a level up past 60, but you need multiple points to allocate a new skill in the tree. I feel like saying 1 point per skill with slower Paragon levels would be fine, or you get 1 point per bunch of levels instead. It's just a little numbery. Gear? That's the next thing, gear? Alright, the short of it is, it's bad. It has up arrows, including a tip about up arrows. Little test for ARPG creators out there. If you include this message and these arrows, the game is worse for it. Just letting you know, get back in there and imagine for 1 second your player base isn't a bunch of jabbering fucking morons. This strange belief that a player won't figure things out at all baffles me, because so many games that are well respected, loved, talked about, remembered, they all had degrees of shittiness, unwieldiness, complete oddities, and yet because the systems are fun and theory crafting was a notion, people enjoyed working through problems. I'll admit there's a gentle balance between fun to think about and tedious as shit, and the game developers should recognize if they start bloating the systems, but I'd personally rather there be some bloating than nothing at all. Here's some arrows, don't look at the stat comparison. I mean, between the game lagging when you try to do anything with efficiency, the comparison UI is also like partially obscured by some other UI elements, and you just can't be bothered to not agree with the up arrows. I took to a wiki that's probably completely outdated and wrong in order to figure out what each stat does, because guess what, the game never tells you in any capacity. So life, damage, and armor penetration all make sense based on the word alone, except that surprisingly damage increases your primary attribute as well, but I'm not sure what the primary attribute is for each class. And as an aside, I hate this primary attribute shit in any game I see, because it's another way to oversimplify the fantasy of building a character. Let me choose the stats I want. If I want to be a mage with massive fucking shoulders, I will make that. I don't care about optimization. I don't care about being shoved into the right playstyle, because this is a game at the end of the day, not a math quiz. Let me have fun. Sorry, I'm ranting during the segue's segue. We'll get back on track in a second. Offense rating, a wording I take umbrage with whenever I see it, because I don't internalize what offense actually suggests here. Spell damage, melee damage, both, attack speed buffs, like the banner for offense is large and I would like more explanation. For this game, it's apparently increase your damage by a percentage based on your opponent's defense rating. Could you fucking put that better? Update the game and describe what you mean more correctly, Bob, please? Defense rating is the exact inverse. So good, thanks for being consistent. Potency, that's a unique one. I could have never extended guess what potency does. Potency makes your debuffs last longer on enemies. Oh! Resistance is the defensive form of potency. It makes your debuffs last less time on yourself. But wait, what about the attributes? Strength and intelligence are simply the primary attributes for the various classes, but fortitude, a word with the definition courage in pain or adversity, actually increases your armor and armor penetration and offense and defense rating. It's a lot under the banner of one word, I would say. Vitality, a word that means the state of being strong and active, energy, actually increases your life and your offense and defense rating. A lot of the same shit on every word, I would say. Finally, willpower, a word that means control exerted to do something or restrain impulses, actually increases your potency and resistance in addition to increasing your offense and defense rating. Can I request that you cease this behavior? There's rarities, but only legendary and sets seem to make a difference with unique abilities on them akin to Diablo 3 and 4. Each of these have interesting effects, and if anything in the entire game is worth thinking about, it's probably which of these you'll want. However, that's always just bad design for a player, since someone who is new and doesn't know what the endgame items look like and therefore can't possibly plan for what they want won't know what they want. How am I supposed to know that this random thing I may find randomly late into the game is a key component for the build I want to play? And if your response is that I should go online and look up information regarding my build the instant I start playing, I will reply no. There's also the usual phone game gunk of upgrading your equipment up to 20 times as an encouragement to pay for more crafting materials. Oh yeah, gear dropping. Now that's some complete ass, like both cheeks. Unlike usual entries in ARPGs where way too much gear drops from everything, Diablo Immortal makes the unique change where barely anything drops ever, and you don't feel the need or desire to fight nearly any of the enemies you encounter as a result. At max level, the way to get gear is seemingly by buying it, but I mean, there's like rifts akin to Diablo 3 where you just run around and kill monsters and then a guardian spawns and you kill him and then you do it again a lot forever. You use crests or some word like that. I can't be bothered to open up rifts. And let me just bitch about something else real quick. Between the crafting materials, the stuff to open things, the crystals and gems, the scrap, the salvage, the rarities and tiers of everything, I literally have no fucking idea what I want to find, need to find, will use, what the use is. I know it's a phone game. It needs all this garbage to encourage the player to log in each day for rewards and bonuses and loyalty stuff, but it's so incredibly too much. My screen is just being pissed upon with waves of this and that. Thanks for playing. Good work killing 4 monsters. Good work walking into this hallway and hitting this waypoint. On and on. I literally don't care about this. It's bloated to the maximum with stuff. I want to mention something else real quick, and it's unrelated to gear now, but leveling up is the main goal to get to the point where we're farming and actually doing something interesting, and I was finding it a bit of a drag. Just felt like it was taking a million mobs to actually get anything done. I began as I could only imagine being the only way of playing the story and just expecting to level up that way. And that's kind of the case, except that it seems a bulk of the experience comes from completing tasks outlined in your daybook planner / battle pass, as each objective gives you a ton of rewards, whereas the quest from the actual game that we're playing gives you seemingly nothing much of the time. Not that I exactly care, the story's just a bunch of boring ass fetch quests and you just ping pong between Diablo 2 characters asking you to do things for them. I mean, Flavy is in the game, so that's bumping it up from a 1 out of 10 to a 2 straight away, let me tell you. But yeah, Akara, Charcy, the necromancer himself, all shoved into your face, and that's not all. We're going to see the Tree of Inifus, the tree that has a scroll inside it. Oh shit, and don't forget the Countess, who is fucking dead, guys, and not only that, we are tasked with going into the Forgotten Tower, which is ill-named considering that we keep coming here as much as possible, but forget that. And all the references one could have to Diablo 2, even to the extent of resurrecting a dead NPC that shouldn't be back, the building is different now. I could accept that reference if you didn't change the way that the final chamber looked, a place that any Diablo 2 fan is probably very familiar with. It comes across as blatantly wanting fan points without even trying to put in the effort of opening Google and looking at the layout. Plus, this just keeps happening, and it's annoying going around town, and Deckard Cain has something to mention that's a little, oh look, it's Bale's tentacles reference. I was expecting no mention of anything from Diablo 3, but there's actually a bit of that going on, which is only fair if this game is being billed as the median between Diablo 2 and 3. Still, the writing is so referential and derivative that I just lost interest in it, and I've played all these fucking games, so I can imagine some dad gamer on the toilet just tapping his thumbs on a screen is not going to be very invested. Otherwise, the campaign is a tedious romp through zones we are familiar with as players, doing boring back and forth quests until we bump into a dungeon, the main draw of the game, I think. I'm not positive. There's like rifts and stuff in town to go do, but whatever. The dungeons don't deserve incredible praise either, to be honest. But if you want to see just how dumb this game can be, look at this clip where I'm level 37, just running around the store, having a grand old time. Sorry, I'm just kidding. I'm pissed off and annoyed, but still playing Diablo Immortal, and then I realize I have rewards to claim. Didn't even notice that, to be honest, and when I go to claim the rewards, I notice my level exploding, like all the way to max level randomly in about 2 minutes of clicking buttons. This is not how I want my game to be. I want the game to be a game, and the rules to make sense, not just bypass the product, because 90% of the product is ass, and apparently the end game is okay. Once at max level, which was completely earned and enjoyably obtained, it was time to begin doing something. That's actually the problem. I had no idea what that should be. In town is 2 different rift entrances, the Challenge and Elder Rifts. The Challenge Rift is a static difficulty climbing ladder, the exact same gameplay where you run through a dungeon and kill monsters to spawn a boss that you kill within the time limit. I'm not positive great gear comes from here, but some endgame activities, and more the menu UI makes you do some of this, so, you know. The Elder Rifts are the exact same mechanics, but they're randomized and the difficulty scales to your combat level, which, quote, makes monsters inflict trivial amounts of damage. All this really is disguised optimized loot slot machine. I don't like this. Firstly, the Rift asks you for your social security number and bank account before letting you into its easy, boring-ass gameplay. The more crests and essence and ember and kitchen sinks you put into the interface, the more legendary this and that you'll earn. And it goes without saying, the stuff you can purchase for real-world money makes the Rift give out the best loot by far. Seeing as I will not give a single dollar to this game, I will not be getting the best equipment from this system. And to be honest, I don't know what else goes on for the endgame farming, and I don't care. It feels like you get Paragon experience mainly from completing tasks in the codex. You get gear from rifts, but there's raids somewhere. I wanted to increase the difficulty because that's a thing again, but I had to complete the Heliquary quest. So I went and did that, and by the way, isn't that a stupid fucking name, the Heliquary? It's just a box that has little, like, perks and boss fights tied to it. I don't know the ramifications. There's probably a pay $15 to skip this content button around here somewhere. But regardless, it's another notch in our UI. Also, talking about the UI, let's discuss the back-end portion of the game. This could be the least optimized ARPG ever made, and I know it's a phone game first and foremost, but it runs like garbanzo beans. Everything lags, the game has crashed several times, things lock up like it says click to continue, and I click and it doesn't continue, so I hit escape, and 50% of the time that actually works, but sometimes the only thing I can do is force close the entire game, which then sucks because then the load time to get into the game from startup is oddly long, like my PNOS. Then the controls for actually navigating around are either broken or convoluted. Escape brings up the menu. In the menu is a lot of different buttons that lead to different places, but there's no inventory button in the menu. You have to hit I to open the inventory. The difficulty changer is in the map, which isn't a button in the menu either, so you would never even know that there's a map screen. And why would you ever assume difficulty is in that menu and not the menu? The topmost option is shop, because of course it is. All the player powers are shuffled all around, and even the buttons to claim free stuff are confusing to find. The mail button that reads collect all doesn't typically collect all, so I mean, this is just cobbled together donkey dick, and I think it's sufficiently Diablo's. And the font, it's just basic ass Arial. Look at this note Deckard King gives you. It's like he whipped this up in Microsoft Word in 5 seconds, but he's never used a computer before. He's not getting the secretary job, I can tell you that much. There's just so many little graphical hiccups, like look at Toby, he's just moving without using his legs. I think we should keep an eye on Toby. He might be an agent of Skarn in disguise. Yeah, I was gonna make a big bitch session about this, but the main bad guy is Skarn.
Skarn?
Now I'm gonna pick on some pretty petty points, but hey, it's my Diablo Immortal slamming session. Let me enjoy myself. Do you guys not have money I can fucking steal? Diablo, in my opinion, it has an O in it. It has an O. It doesn't have an A. Succeeded because it fused gothic horror with supernatural ability. And the enemies in the world reflected this. Demons were oppressive and cool looking, having memorable designs and presence. So I feel like this advertisement with beautiful looking demons or whatever the fuck this is supposed to be is so totally different from what made Diablo have an identity. Diablo 1 and 2 were horror fueled and intense before Diablo 3 and onwards changed everything to being actiony and watered down, and sexuality and anything in that umbrella was not something I associated with Diablo. Even with things like Andariel, that's not beauty, that's more stark and creepy. This just irked me immediately when I saw it. And that feeling prevails a lot. While occasionally the designs on monsters are cool, there's a lot of bland blood magic or shadow or just comic book feeling action. Gone is the horror, and even so in the art design and direction. I do not have glowing remarks. Plus the models are all low resolution due to this being a phone game, of course, so it's not winning on that front either. I'll offer a thumbs up for the Bestiary, a book that keeps track of your progress, killing rare monsters and types of enemy. I think that's actually fun and useful information, and in a better designed game could have a lot of enjoyable interaction, especially if you made the Bestiary very hard to max out or gave bonus cosmetic rewards for killing a certain number of enemies in each category assigned. Incentivizing farming beyond max level could be interesting, so good work, a good idea. I don't want to mention warbands and guilds or whatever because I didn't even bother. I didn't want to join a guild where they'll probably flame me for not knowing that some random gem or ability or legendary power is meta for speed clearing Diablo's cock and ball chamber on Inferno 3, and without that gem you are an asshole and an idiot and a dick and a loser dick and an idiot dick loser and an idiot loser dick asshole. And I think I've made my point. Honestly, that's about the extent of the game. It's very poopy and bad. It's a low effort, boring romp through places that were picked to elicit the largest nostalgic response. It's chock full of microtransactions, boring itemization, and a game that is designed to log me in, take some money, and log me out. Diablo Immortal is probably going to end up being Diablo Immortal because it's
Ass cheek.
It's shit. It
Stinks.
it's an insult to the legacy of the original devs and their artistic visions, but more importantly, it's
Butthole.
alright, that's it from me. I'm taking my phone, putting it in the garbage can, taking Bobby Kotick, putting him in the disposal, taking, what else do we hate here? Mr. Minecraft Dungeons? Maybe we take him and put him on the channel next week. Maybe not. I'm out of fucking Diablo games to play, but maybe it's Victor Vran time. Yeah, great guy Victor. We'll play that game. Okay, sounds good. Get out.